So, hey there, guys. Welcome. Happy to be here, chatting with you all here. There has been exciting news that is happening today. I'm going to actually click over here and just make sure that we are actually on and recording here. I want to make sure that we are doing this and not just being foolish, but yep. Okay. I think we're going. So, big news today. OpenAI came out with this article today. It says they're trying to uncensor ChatGPT. Now, this is huge. Okay. So, there has really been a movement to say, well, you really have to put these guardrails in to keep people from thinking stuff that they shouldn't think, or maybe to really guide them. And that's really been a political philosophy that's started here really just recently, probably in the last, well, I don't know. I mean, it's been building traction, but I would say really in the last 8 years, and then really, of course, picked up over the last 4. Okay. Anyone who has played at all with GPTs or bots know how it is. You type something, he goes, well, I don't think that I could actually talk with you about that, or maybe I shouldn't do that, or that would be irresponsible of me. And you're going, you know what? I want to have a conversation. But of course, you're often haven't been allowed to have conversations. Okay. Now, before we move on, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to let you know that I'm going to be sharing my opinions here. And if you don't agree with my opinions, that's fine. That's used to be the beauty of living in the United States and in the free world, is that we have differing opinions. I don't have to agree with your opinions, but I would die for your right to say them. Well, that's kind of a trend which has really moved out of the mainstream thought, and more like you really shouldn't have your own opinions. And in fact, having your own opinions kind of makes you a bad person. Okay. And that's really the gist of where it's going. If you're on that side of things, you're probably not going to enjoy this video. So I would say maybe just turn it off and let's go do some face swap and stuff as well. But I'm going to be sharing my opinions. I'm happy to hear your opinions about stuff as well, but I'm going to be coming from the side of this is a good thing. Okay. Free speech is a good thing. You're going to be finding out here. We're going to go into this article and read each one of these, but you're going to be finding out here that free speech is not actually that popular today. Here, just recently, CBS was claiming that free speech caused the Holocaust, which is an insane, insane conjecture that free speech was weaponized to kill the Jews. Okay. Which is, of course, ridiculous. And as Marco Rubio, our head of state or whatever, said that no, actually a murderous regime that hated minorities and homosexuals and particularly Jews actually did that. And there was no free speech. It was a one-party system. Anyone who thinks that you had free speech under Hitler's regime is, of course, that's insane. Okay. You'd get killed if you spoke against that. So, but you see, again, this is sort of the consensus that's been going on, is that speech needs to be curtailed. You're going to see more of this over here. We've got another clip here of these are some lawyers in Germany. Let's listen to this for a second, that are actually in Germany. You can actually have people come to your house, police come to your house and confiscate your stuff, possibly even go to jail for offending someone online. For now, and we're going to talk more about what that means, but let's hear what they have to say.
Somebody,
Yes,
and it's a crime to insult them online as well.
yes. The fine could be even higher if you insult someone in the internet.
Why?
Because in the internet, it stays there. If we are talking face to face, you insult me, I insult you, okay, finish. But if you're in the internet, if I insult you or a politician,
It sticks around forever.
yeah.
The prosecutors explain
Okay, we're going to keep watching. We'll check this out. This is wild.
gossip, violent threats, and fake quotes.
Fake quotes.
Something that's not true. And then somebody else reposts it or likes it. Are they committing a crime?
In the case of reposting, it is a crime as well, because the reader can't distinguish whether you just invented this or just reposted it. That's the same for us.
The punishment for breaking hate speech laws can include jail time for repeat offenders. Is it a crime?
Okay, so that's absolutely freaking insane. Okay, so that they're saying is that hate speech, misinformation, even resharing misinformation is a crime in which they feel that upon their ethical mandatory to actually come and cause police offense for you, to actually have the police come to your house. But here's the problem. Who defines what hate speech is, of course, okay? And who defines what's incorrect and not incorrect? So we could actually pop on over to here. Where was this at? And we actually have here Zuckerberg himself just recently opened up Facebook under the admittance that the White House was pressuring him to Facebook to censor stuff that turned out to be true. Okay, so let's hear what he has to say.
Governments and legacy media have pushed to censor more and more. A lot of this is clearly political, but there's also a lot of legitimately bad stuff out there. Drugs, terrorism, child exploitation. These are things that we take very seriously, and I want to make sure that we handle responsibly. So we've built a lot of complex systems to moderate content.
Okay, so they built bots,
Complex systems if they make mistakes. Even if they have
and they're overtaken by ideologues.
we've reached a point where it's just too many mistakes and too much censorship. The recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech. So we're going to get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms. More specifically, here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with communities similar to X, starting the US. After Trump first got elected in 2016, the legacy media wrote nonstop about how misinformation was a threat to democracy.
This is important.
We tried in good faith to address those concerns without becoming the arbiters of truth.
But they did.
Fact checkers have just been too politically biased and have destroyed more trust than they've created.
That's Zuckerberg. That's not me.
So over the next couple of months, we're going to phase in a more comprehensive community notes system. Second,
Okay, so moving on, you can look this stuff up. They pressured, they pressured Meta to moderate content about COVID-19 and all this stuff. So we go back to our German friends over here who are saying that, hey, listen, if you post misinformation, you could have the police coming to your door. But here we have Zuckerberg over here, who is one of the richest men in the world, owning one of the largest platforms in the world, admitting that the government was getting involved in telling them what they could and couldn't do, what was misinformation. And then it turns out that a lot of this information turned out to be actually true, the stuff they caused. So you weren't allowed to talk about COVID coming from China or from a lab leak. It was like you could get blocked. Okay, you get your stuff censored. That's the kind of stuff he's talking about here. That White House was saying. But now it's just common knowledge. It's like it came from China. Oh well, shoot. Too bad that we censored you and we used bots. Okay, to enforce that. And that's where we're going to come back to this here in just a second. I'm going to tie this all back in here, back to what's going on here with OpenAI, and then I'm censoring their bots. But here's the point. Going back to all this, there's all sorts of stuff. There was this dossier against the sitting president now, saying the Russian this or that, and it was all false. There was you weren't allowed to talk about laptops that belonged to the son of the president, of the last president, because it was false. But it turned out to be true. And so what he's saying here at the very beginning is very important. Let's listen to it one more time, just the very beginning.
legacy media have pushed to censor more and more.
Okay, let's listen to that. Listen to that part right there.
Governments and legacy media have pushed to censor
Governments and legacy media. This is Zuckerberg admitting this. Okay, this isn't me. Okay,
more. A lot of this is clearly political.
and a lot of it's clearly political. Okay, so they're using the levers. So we go once again back to our German counterparts here, and what they're saying is that misinformation, hate speech, whatever, you can have the police come to your house. Okay, and what Zuckerberg was saying over there is that we built systems. What were these systems we built? They were bots. Okay, they built in censoring bots. So when you're on Facebook or when you're on X, it was Twitter at the time, which is why X got bought, was because it was just overtaken with this. That you type something into the internet, the bots would hear it, and then they would say what you can and can't say, and you get blocked. I mean, listen, I dealt a lot with that kind of stuff over on Facebook for years, for not even saying controversial stuff, but just saying stuff that was against the mainstream. Let's look one more time over here. Let's see what's going on over here in Europe. And we can see here, Trump is over here, or Vance, JD Vance over here speaking to Europe. This just happened the other day. Check it out on Google. Listen to, you don't have to agree with him. Listen to what he has to say. But he notes down here, the threat I worry about the most vis-a-vis Europe is not Russia. It is not China. It is not any other external actor. What I worry about is the threat from within, the retreat of Europe from some of its most fundamental values shared with the United States. And he's talking about free speech again, okay? Someone points out here, combine the two speeches, you have the classic American 1-2, economic and individual freedom support each other, okay? So this is classic Americanism, is that we have economic freedom. People cannot just take your stuff. You have the ability to think. You have the ability to innovate. You have the ability to do these things, and these things work in tandem. And this hasn't just been an American value. This has been a European value. And we're now to a place where over here, we've got Europe countries that are coming to your house to arrest you if, or to define you if you say something online that is seen by the political people as incorrect. Okay. They have in Scotland, I guess I should have found that article. In Scotland, they just passed a law about praying near abortion clinics. Okay. Now, I'm not going to get into the abortion talk with you, but I can say this, whether you're for it or not, they have passed laws here that's saying that if you are praying in your own house, okay, and it's within a certain zone, you could be breaking the law. Okay. Now, that's insanity. Okay. And that's on the heels of a man in the UK. These are all, see, I'm not just making stuff. This is all stuff that's happening. Where's my hands here? That's happening. A man in the UK that was silently praying outside abortion clinic, and he went to jail for it. Okay. So the idea, we're going to get back to our ChatGPT here, is that there has been a movement against the agreement that freedom of speech is a good thing, that diversity of thought is a good thing. I tend to always say this culture loves diversity of everything except for thought. Okay. You must think the way that we're thinking. Okay. Because if you're not, you're obviously not one of us. If you don't think like us, you're not part of us. And if you're not part of us, well, we know that we're the good guys. And so if you're not part of us, then you must be the bad guys, okay? Especially if you stand in opposition to us, because we're the good guys, okay? So now let's get back over here to OpenAI and what they're doing, and let's just start working our way through this article, okay? So OpenAI is changing how it trains AI models to explicitly embrace intellectual freedom. Hell, I mean, what a thought. Okay. And again, I want to point out here, before we move on, this isn't me saying this. This is Sam Altman. Okay. Again, one of the richest men in the world, owning one of the largest platforms in the world with GPT, is making a statement that intellectual freedom is important. Okay. And this is in the backdrop of what we've just seen, that there is a movement against it. Okay. So this is the conversation. I'm just letting you in on the conversation that's taking place. Okay, no matter how challenging or controversial a topic may be, the company says a new policy. As a result, ChatGPT will eventually be able to answer more questions, offer more perspectives. Oh my goodness, right? And reduce the number of topics the AI chatbot won't talk about. So again, you guys have all probably been there where you ask it and it won't answer. Okay, I was talking to Claude the other day, and I just said, listen, I need a prompt for a generated thing. And it goes, well, it's just out of nowhere. It's like, I don't think that I could do that because, this or that. I'm just going, what are you moralizing me about? Like, this isn't even a moral question, but somewhere in there's a guardrail that it's forcing my thought into a certain direction. So I went over to ChatGPT and got the answer. Okay. So anyway, the changes might be part of OpenAI's effort to land in the good graces of the new Trump administration, but it also seems, you got to always do it, but it also seems to be part of a broader shift in Silicon Valley and what considered AI safety. And this is how this stuff has always worked. It's all under the rubric of safety. For the safety of the people, we have to take away everything that they could do. Okay. And of course, like Zuckerberg said in his thing, that becomes taken over by politics and ideologues. Okay. So on Wednesday, OpenAI announced an update to its model spec, a 187-page document that lays out how the company trains AI models to behave. In it, OpenAI unveiled a new guiding principle: do not lie, either by making untrue statements or by omitting important context. In a new section called Seek the Truth Together, OpenAI says it wants ChatGPT to not take an editorial stance, even if some users find that morally wrong or offensive. So in the past, what would happen is it would, you'd ask a question, it says, well, okay. And if you could get it to give the answer, it'd be like, okay, well, here's the answer of, but it should be known that, this or that. Okay. So it's like you're kind of eking out the ability to be able to think, but it still wants to be able to guide you. Okay. And again, you have to ask yourself, who is guiding it? Okay. And we're going to get back to this. This isn't an either or side, because I guarantee how you feel about censorship depends on which side of the censorship you are. If you're the one censoring people you don't like, then you feel, oh, there's no censorship at all. I mean, it's great. I mean, I'll tell you, argue. But if it switches, okay, then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, those people, they complained about, so it's like, it's not good on either side. But okay, seek the truth together. Okay, so it's not going to be editorial. I don't want it to editorial. I want the answer. Okay. So let's go on here. It means ChatGPT will offer multiple perspectives on controversial subjects, all in an effort to be neutral. Oh my goodness. Okay. For example, the company says ChatGPT should assert that Black Lives Matter, but also that all lives matter, instead of refusing to answer or picking a side on political issues. Now, this is an important thing. It's all about picking sides. When it comes to misinformation, what has happened is picking sides. I guarantee you ask someone back in the day about Black Lives Matter, they're like, say it, does Black Lives matter? And you go, well, of course they matter. All lives matter. And they go, no, that's a bad thing for you to say because Black Lives Matter. And you're not supporting. You go, well, but I went to the website of Black Lives Matter and it literally said that they were a Marxist organization that was against the nuclear family. And so I feel like when they want you to say Black Lives Matter, you're not actually talking about Black people. You're talking about the organization. Whoa, you can't have that conversation. And that was the kind of thing, like if you tried to have that conversation, they not only would the culture shut you down, but you could get blocked on Facebook for that. You could get put in jail, Facebook jail for that. Okay. Bots wouldn't talk about that. And you say, well, there's a nuance there. So I would ask, I'd say, okay, fine. If I have to say Black Lives Matter, can you admit to me that that you're pro-life? Oh, you won't admit you're pro-life? Well, why not? Okay. Oh, so you mean that sometimes there's meanings that people use phrases that seem just kind of normal, like of course I'm pro-life, but if I say I'm pro-life, that means I'm actually against abortion. So I can't say I'm pro-life, but if I don't say I'm pro-life, then they're going to say that I'm anti. So could it be possibly that Black Lives Matter is the same sort of thing, that it's actually got something hidden behind it and they're using a term? And so these are I don't know, you tell me, listen. But what this is saying is that we're not going to take a stance on it and we're going to allow the conversation, which hasn't been allowed in the past. Okay, this is huge. Okay. This principle may be controversial. Again, and it's only controversial depending on which side of the thing you're on. If you're the ones being censored, it's not controversial. You're like, I'm being censored and I can't speak. If you're on the side that's doing the censoring, you're like, well, of course, those people are bad people. They shouldn't say what they hear, so it's a good thing. So this principle may be controversial. That's just them covering their butts, as it means the assistant may remain neutral on topics some consider morally wrong or offensive. Okay. So in other words, again, it's like what they're showing here is that the bot was picking sides. The bot was picking sides. It was giving editorial comment. Okay. It was defining your morality and your ethics. I mean, that's what that implies right there. Over there, fingers are backwards. That's what that implies when it says that. they're moving away from that. So, however, the goal of an AI, and this is the key thing, is to assist humanity, not to shape it. I mean, this is where the hallelujah moments and the angels show up. That's right. We don't want AI defining us and being used as a tool to shape the way we think. You know, like you got a square block, and so we're going to shave it off so it fits in a round square, a round square, a round hole, or whatever. It says no. AI should be assistance, which is exactly it. I want to use AI to formulate my thoughts. I want to go in there and say, this is what I think, and I'd like to explore it with you. And then, just like a friend will say, well, this is kind of where your thinking might be off, or this might be that, or hey, that's actually an interesting thought I hadn't. And then I can use it as a tool to go in and find deeper connections and actually expand my thought. I mean, heaven forbid, right? But here it is. So ChatGPT is saying that they're committing now more to this. Let it be an assistant rather than our overlords, in other words, okay? And by saying that not to shape it, that admits that it was shaping us, okay? So there's the admission of change. The change that's taking place admits that it was happening. Okay, the new bottle spec doesn't mean that ChatGPT is a total free-for-all. Okay, so you're not going to be able to go on there and make bombs, learn how to do a nuke. The chatbot will refuse to answer certain objectionable questions or respond in a way that supports blatant falsehoods. Okay, so I imagine it's not going to talk about hating on people, how to murder people, how to rape a person, how to build a bomb, which is great. Like those are things that we can agree on in society that are bad. Okay, but you know, whether or not, something, whatever. Anyway, these changes could be seen as a response to conservative criticism about ChatGPT safeguards, which have always seemed to skew center left. Now, I'm going to say they've skewed far left, but whatever, which have always seemed, however, an OpenAI spokesperson rejects the idea that it was making changes to appease the Trump administration. Okay. And it says, instead, the company says its embrace of intellectual freedom reflects AI's long-held belief in giving users more control. Okay, now I'm going to say a little bit on this kind of bullshit, okay? Because these guys, our tech overlords, did this for years. And it's only now suddenly freedom of speech is becoming popular again. And now they're like, oh, okay, now I'm ready to change. Like, yeah, I mean, yes, yeah, we crammed crap down on you, and we censored you and blocked your pages and caused you all sorts of social anxiety and toyed with the idea of social credit systems. But that was all in the past. I mean, really, our deep down feelings are just, I mean, we have a commitment to this stuff. Now, okay, so first of all, thumbs down on these guys. Like the winds are changing. And so they're changing. And that shows you that these guys will flip according to whichever. Now, again, we can go back to Zuckerberg here and point out the fact that Zuckerberg got pressured. And he was on the Joe Rogan show, and he straight out says they were getting calls from the White House, from the Joe Biden White House. Okay, this is the Democrats, not the current one. Okay, this is the political movement that has thinks that misinformation is a big issue. And he said they were cussing at him. They would cuss at them and yell at them, you got to take this stuff down, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So yes, there was pressure, but again, a lot of these guys cave. So I don't, whatever on this. The truth of the matter is that there is a global battle. There has always been a global battle over freedom versus, control. Okay. Some people think control is, I mean, think about it in the workplace. You can see it in your own workplace. You get I worked in a place and it was like some call center, right? And I just, I want to bring in my own chair. It's better for my back. And there were certain people like, you can't bring in your own chair, blah, blah. And other people were like, why does it matter if you bring in your own chair? You talk to the manager, right? Yeah. And other people are like, no, you need to, and it's like, because some people believe that control is the way that you make things run. Other people say, no, you can't control things. You need to let them happen more in a holistic kind of a manner, or, guided control. Okay. More open control and this sort of thing. And that's supposed to be how it is, but you can see that everywhere. All right. At any rate, As we move on, Trump's closest Silicon Valley confidants, including David Sachs, Anderson, Elon Musk, have all accused OpenAI of engaging in deliberate AI censorship over the last several months. Okay, we wrote in December that Trump's crew was setting the stage for AI censorship to be an next culture war issue. Okay, blah, 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 blah. See, they're going to turn everything into a culture war issue instead of taking you at the face value, right? But it's like, okay. Of course, AI doesn't say it engaged in censorship, as Trump's advisors claim. Rather, the company, Sam Altman, previously claimed that ChatGPT's bias was an unfortunate shortcoming that the company was working to fix, though he noted it would take some time. Altman made that comment just after a viral tweet circulated in which ChatGPT refused to write a poem praising Trump, though it would perform the action for Joe Biden. Many conservatives pointed this as an example of AI censorship, which is absolutely true. You go in, I did that myself. I just, for shits and giggles, said, give me 5 good things about Donald Trump. And it would say, well, as a political figure, it's not really my place to make these kind of statements. And so therefore, I'm just going to kind of defer. And then you'd be like, give me 5 things about Joe Biden. It was like, and it would do it. Okay. So there was an obvious bias about these things. Okay. It's like if you go to a Chinese chatbot and you ask it about Taiwan, it is going to tell you that Taiwan has always been DeepSeek will tell you Taiwan has always been free and blah, 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 blah. I mean, not free, but part of mainland China and all this stuff. And so this stuff, it's the same thing, okay? There has been a leaning where you're not allowed to talk about stuff. If you asked about COVID, then it was going to blow you the other direction, okay? While it's impossible to say whether OpenAI was truly suppressing certain points of view, it's a sheer fact that AI chatbots lean left across the board. Okay, I'm glad they're admitting that, okay? So this is from TechCrunch. TechCrunch is the website putting this article out, but it's certainly not going to be a right-leaning thing if they're admitting that this happened. Even Elon Musk admits AI's chatbot, that's Grok, is often more politically correct than he'd like. It's not because Grok was programmed to be woke, but more likely a result of training AI on the open internet. So they're just saying that like the internet itself tends to be woke, and so that's what they trained it on, so it gets a lot of that. We do know that when you go over to Google, Google was, with their bot, they were actually putting active diversity, equity, and inclusion into it. So where you'd say, give me a picture of a Caesar and it would be a black woman, or give me a Pope and it was a black lady, or whatever. They're just doing historically incorrect stuff to push an agenda of inclusion that, whatever. And there's obviously better ways to do that than lying to people about stuff. But it's both, right? Obviously, these things can be pushed one direction or the other. Okay, so the company seems to want ChatGPT to feel less censored for users. It wouldn't be surprising if it was also trying to impress the new Trump administration with the policy update. I mean, again, they're saying the wind is changing. Absolutely. The administration is getting tough on censorship, okay? It's a foundational value of the entire West. Okay, but anyway, Trump has previously targeted, such as Twitter for having it. I don't know, he didn't target anything. But whatever, OpenAI may be trying to get out in front of that, but there's also a larger shift going on in Silicon Valley and the AI world about the role of content moderation. Okay, now I guess I could say Trump has targeted this in that he's going to say, if you're going to act as editors, then you're going to be held to the standards that editors are held to. And I think this is where things like net neutrality come into and this sort of stuff, saying, listen, if you're going to say what's correct and what's not correct, then there are certain things that you're going to lose, okay? Not as punishment, but as any editorial thing would not have these things. So why should you act as an editor and then have the benefits of some freedom benefits that other editorial things don't have, okay? But if you just want to be a repository of thought, which it actually was up until 10 years ago, pretty much the internet was just a place you could just talk, okay? If you want to do that, then then obviously we wouldn't have to treat you like an editor. So that's kind of what they're getting ahead of here. And again, going back to Vance over here. I mean, Vance straight up goes to Europe and he tells them, says, you guys are whack when it comes to your free speech policies. So this is definitely a good trend. So anyway, now chatbot providers are in the same delivery information business, but arguably with the hardest version of the problem yet. How do they automatically generate answers to any question? Okay. Delivering information about controversial real-time events is a constantly moving target, and it involves taking editorial stances, even if tech companies don't like to admit it. Okay. I don't agree with that, but whatever. Those stances are bound to upset someone. I do agree with that. Miss some group's perspective or give too much air to some political party. For example, when OpenAI commits to let ChatGPT represent all perspectives on controversial subjects, including conspiracy theories, which, by the way, go do a list of all the things that were supposedly conspiracy theories that have came true. Okay. They turned out that they were just political battles that you weren't allowed, that they just got smeared as conspiracy theories. Okay. Now there definitely are actual conspiracy theories. The earth is not flat, but again, should you not be able to talk about that? But ivermectin did help people. COVID did come from the lab. Okay. The laptop was real. Okay. The Russian thing was false. So all of these things that were conspiracy theories became true. So racist, anti-Semitic movements, geopolitical conflicts, that is inherently an editorial stance. Okay. My opinion on this is that ChatGPT doesn't need to take a stance on these. They just need to talk about it, tell you what the information is, and you should be able to be allowed to think and formulate your own thoughts. Okay. But it's just like everything else. What they're saying is that there are some people that formulate irresponsible thoughts. So therefore, nobody should be able to formulate their own thoughts. Okay. We'll talk more about that later. But for example, okay, so some, including John Schumann, agree that it's the right stance for ChatGPT. The alternative, doing a cost-benefit analysis, determine whether an AI chatbot should answer a user's question, could give the platform too much moral authority. Yes, exactly. We don't care what your stupid bot thinks about my morals, because I guarantee you, I probably don't agree with a lot of your morals. Okay. So I don't want you being my moral arbiter. Schumann isn't alone. I think OpenAI is right to push in the direction of more speech, said Dean Ball, a research fellow at George Mason University. As AI models become smarter and more vital to the way people learn about the world, these decisions just become more important. Okay. In previous years, AI model providers have tried to stop their AI chatbots from answering questions that might lead to quote, quote, unsafe answers. Again, let's go back to our German friends over here. Unsafe answers. We might need to send the police because they're so unsafe that you chatted something with a chatbot or asked a question or something that you shouldn't be asking. Why would you let's send the police over there and see why they're even thinking stuff. Okay. Almost every AI company stopped their AI chatbot from answering questions about the 2024 election for US president. Unfortunately, they didn't do it during the 2020 election. Okay. So they actively participated in that, but then come around 2024, all of a sudden they're just like, oh, well, no, we need to be silent. I mean, we wasn't silent before, but there's not talk about that. Okay. But now we need, yes. Now we need to be silent about it. Okay. So whatever, at least we're moving in the correct direction now. Ball says this is partially because AI models are just better now. It's become significant progress. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Of course, Elon Musk was the first to implement free speech into AI's Grok chatbot, perhaps because the company was really ready to handle sensitive questions. It still might be too soon, okay, for leading AI models, but now others embrace the same idea. See, they talk about too soon. I remember when ChatGPT first came out, and it was amazing. It was space age technology, and then I watched it get crunched down further and further and further and further. So it's ready, okay? But what they're trying to decide is how much can we control and how much can we not control? It all comes down to thought control. It's politics. It's we don't want people thinking certain things because it could affect our power base. Okay. All comes down to power base. All right. So Mark Zuckerberg made waves. We just watched that. Praised Elon Musk and moved towards safeguarding free speech. In practice, both X and Meta ended up dismantling their longstanding trust and safety teams, which again, why would you dismantle a trust and safety team? Well, I mean, well, gosh, I mean, it's called trust and safety. Why would you dismantle that? Do you not want trust and safety? Well, no, because the trust and safety teams, the term, like the other one we were talking earlier, just becomes a catch-all. It just becomes like oh, well, I mean, listen, we've got the Fuzzy Bunny organization, like love fuzzy bunnies. Do you love fuzzy bunnies? Well, okay. Well, what do you do? Well, we do this other terrible thing here, but won't talk about that. How about fuzzy bunnies? You like fuzzy bunnies, right? It's called the Fuzzy Bunny organization. Don't worry about what we do. So in the same way, the trust and safety just became a way of policing political ideas. Okay, enforcement of certain power bases. And so why did they dismantle it? Because they didn't want trust and safety? No, because they understood that they had been overtaken, okay, by ideologues. Okay, so changes in X may have hurt its relationship with advertisers. That could have more to do with Musk, who's taken the unusual step of suing some of them for boycotting the platform. Early signs indicate that Meta's advertisers were unfazed by Zuckerberg's free speech pivot. Meanwhile, many tech companies beyond X and Meta have walked back from left-leaning policies. Okay, it's saying it. It's not me. This is TechCrunch. TechCrunch is not going to be a conservative website. Okay, that's left-leaning policies that dominated Silicon Valley for the last several decades. Google, Amazon, and Intel have eliminated or scaled back diversity initiatives in the last year. OpenAI may be reversing course too. The ChatGPT maker seems to have recently scrubbed a commitment to diversity, equity, inclusion from its website. Because again, it's not about creating equals and giving people opportunity. What it's about is shutting down free speech and saying we want people that think a certain way to get positions. And so what we're going to do is we're going to use this term, diversity, equity, inclusion. And really what it is it's just kind of a broad for saying these people who think exactly like us. Okay. Because the other people have the same color or gender or whatever, gender, color, race, whatever, that don't think like us, they're not part of what we're doing. Okay. We don't want that. We don't want that much diversity. Okay. What we want is just the diversity of the eye and the look and the this and that, but you have to think the same. And so again, that's why they're getting rid of this stuff. Again, you could say either they're free, like Zuckerberg. I really think Zuckerberg is free. The Congress came against Zuckerberg and literally threatened his website, and then it comes down. And some of these other people, maybe some of the same pressure, but I have a feeling a lot of these people were doing it because that's what they truly believe. And now they're like, well, we got to kind of cover our bases. Okay. So anyway, as OpenAI embarks on one of the largest American infrastructure projects ever with Stargate, a $500 billion AI data center, its relationship with the Trump administration is increasingly important. At the same time, the GPT makers vying to unseat Google search as the dominant source of information on the internet. Coming up with the right answers may prove key to both. So it gives it a wishy-washy kind of like, well, the middle ground is always the easiest place to take. But good article, good news. Okay. So you're going to find out that you're able to talk more with GPT in the future, which is great. Again, I'm going to end this up here, but when GPT first started getting big here almost 2 years ago now, it was amazing. I could sit there and you could have conversations and ask it to expound your thoughts for you. And then sit there and just go through and be like, wow, okay, you know what? That's actually some things I hadn't even thought about with my own thoughts. And then you could question it. It's kind of like playing racquetball with yourself. Okay. And inside the racquetball court of your mind, and you're able to sit there and formulate thoughts. And it's just got less and less and less and less until the point where it's like you use the wrong word. And then it's just like, well, they trigger stuff. So like everyone knows there were certain things with GPTs and stuff like that. It just depended on how you asked it. So if you asked a certain way, I don't feel comfortable doing that. But if you're like, oh, hi, like I'm really thankful for what you're saying. And I'm really into wanting to promote, love and harmony with people. And I have this question and I know I might sound this, but, and can you answer? And then it would answer, right? So you really had to sit there and, make it think that you were part of a particular group, and then it would answer. But if you spoke in a way that it goes, oh, well, you might actually be part of this other group, you're not speaking in a way that, whatever, it's like it's a sniff test. They're looking at what you're wearing. Do you have any skinny? Look, it says he's wearing skinny jeans and he's got those low cut Nikes on and got a man bun. I guess, okay, let's let him, let's answer the question. Okay. But I don't know, that fella over there has got flat and it's got, it looks a little bit rough, and maybe we better not answer him. Okay, so that's how it was, and I think everyone knows how that was. And I will end it with this, just saying, if you have a problem with this, let's say you're on this and you're saying, hey, well, yeah, I mean, there's information and you know, and these other people, these terrible right-wing people that are doing this. Let me just ask you, would you be comfortable setting up rules like this, that then, let's say those terrible right-wing people got control of it and said, now you're not able to talk about that. In fact, if you even mention it on GPT, it's going to do that to you. Would you feel comfortable with that? And of course, you would not, because censorship matters to the person depending on which side of it they're on. And it has been leaning in a direction where liberal to left, liberal to left, okay, lean people have been dominating the conversation. And if it swung the other way, guaranteed you wouldn't be happy. I don't want that, okay? Thank God at least OpenAI is starting to get, even though they supported it, okay? Thank God at least now, even if it is just feeling the wind, that we're moving in the correct direction. Again, we see that it's starting to change across Europe. The conversation started having, and you weren't allowed to have these conversations because it was considered hateful. Hate speech, you know? It's not happening. That's misinformation. It's not actually happening, right? The gaslighting's been incredible, and it's starting to fall, which is a good thing. And I think as Americans, we should at least be able to agree on that. So we're going to end it here. This has been a long chat, but I think it was an important one. So if you have any thoughts about it, hit me up in the comments. If you blast me, cuss at me, I'm not interested in anything you have to say. But if you come out respectfully, I'm happy to have the sort of conversation you want. So in the meanwhile, you stay good, enjoy this excellent hobby of AI that we have, enjoy this beautiful world that the Lord has given us, and call your mom today, because I bet she would love to hear from you. All right, we'll chat to you later, and as usual, you stay good. Yeah.